start the film, should you put "do not watch while on LSD"?
No. No, because I prefer people watch it on LSD.
Create that.
I actually want a thing that says you better fucking fill up a drink, you better roll up a goddamn bomber, and take whatever drugs you have in your house to watch this movie, because that is the best fucking way to watch it.
It is, but also.
Also, one of my favorite things is that bar was so overloaded before we started this movie. The line was fucking all the way back, and the poor guy who was working there was just trying to shuffle around. But it's like, you need to watch this movie with a goddamn drink in your hand. I would have imperatively told everybody to get a drink before this movie, but the line was so slow moving and so long that you would have missed that entire opening POV, so I opted not to tell you. But for future reference, if you recommend this movie to your friends, which you really should, and if you don't, go fuck yourselves. Tell them to have a drink before they watch this movie. Okay, let's start the real Q&A now.
All right, guys. This was a fucking crazy film. Joe, you guys been killing it for years. What better way to kick off this tour in front of your friends and family? Everybody, give a round of applause, please. We were sitting on the bar, and Josh, your dad, had said, told us a story about getting your first computer. You know what I mean? And then so it's just like, God, I'm like, thank God, your family and everybody supports you guys, because this is just what it's all about, filmmaking, and everybody just coming out like tonight to support. That's what it's all about, man. But like I said, you guys are from here. What are some of your favorite spots that you like to hit up when you come back to visit?
My favorite spot is being in this theater with all you motherfuckers.
All right, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Showcase to the movie.
Right. So you have a very specific. You have a very specific style. It's like rock and roll. It's party. It's just hardcore. Where did that influence come from for you? Like what influenced you to make the films that you make?
I just write what I know, which is hanging out with my friends and getting fucked up, and I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of movies you watch, and I can't personally relate to the characters. I feel like there's a lot of movies where they just write the most stock fucking characters imaginable. And one of the biggest things that I get criticized about my movies for are that all of the characters feel the same. They all feel very non-realistic. But you know what? When you have a friend group, all of those friends are exactly the fucking same. When I have a friend group, there's not a jock and a fucking nerd and a fucking no, you fucking hang out with people that you relate to. I hang out with scumbag metalheads, so I'm going to write fucking scumbag metalheads who love doing drugs, who love getting fucked up, and who love watching horror movies. That's what I know, so that's what I'm gonna fucking write. I don't know what else to tell you motherfuckers, but so that is one of the biggest things that I hate. It's like, oh, your characters are non-realistic. It's like, well, you've never hung out in a goddamn circle of scumbag metalheads, so go fuck yourself. This movie's not for you. But I'm going to write that, and I'm going to write what I know, and I'm going to write them exceptionally realistically, because I'm writing myself. So when you tell me that myself isn't realistic, then you can go fucking fuck yourself. So I don't know.
Ruthlessly gruesome. Nobody in that theater said that.
No, I'm not talking about this theater. I'm talking about in general.
No, we're all looking around like, who was it? It was you.
This is not to anybody in the theater. This is to the general consensus. You guys are. I can tell that you guys are. You guys are out here around the 4th of July. God damn.
Yeah, throw it. I think so. So this film is probably like the most bloodiest film I've ever seen that actually isn't human blood. It's all extraterrestrial blood. Talk to us about the special effects, the blood itself, and just like the thought process that went into making this black light just acid trip.
Yeah, we tested out because the thing about real, when you do fake human blood, it's all Caro syrup. It's really sticky. It's fucking disgusting. But with the aliens, I wanted something to pop, something that felt blacklight. And we tested out various things. We tested out green neon blood. It looked too much like Predator, though I do love the look of that. And when we tested out this look, it looked a lot like at the end of Terminator 2 when they're in that steel factory and that magma is fucking popping. It looks so good. So that was actually an aesthetic influence for this. And also, basically what this blood is an EDM washable blood, and they sell this by the 5-gallon drums. So if you go to see an EDM concert, you go to Electric Daisy Carnival, they shoot this shit all over the audience so you can wash it up very easily. So I was covered in this shit head to toe. every day of shooting, but it made it really easy to wash off. And like when they say that it's washable, it really is, because I had to wash my fucking clothes every single night. There wasn't a stain anywhere, although my apartment is still completely stained. I mean, that's a choice. It looks so cool. I'm like almost afraid to cover it up now because it's so close to my heart, but that's where that came from. If we do a sequel, I think I'm going to go with the neon toxic acid green just to change it up. But
So, you're usually behind the camera on your films. What was it like stepping behind and being the main role, main lead in this film?
Well, I wrote it so that there wasn't a big stretch. You know, I kind of played a heightened version of myself, which was easier to portray than, you know, having to have acting range. But when we started this movie, it was right at the start of COVID. You couldn't really work with SAG. You really couldn't have any actors on. The guy who plays Stiggs is one of my best friends, so he came along for the ride. He was all for it. But thankfully, I didn't cast a real actor because I probably would have quit 2 years in. But the good thing is it's almost like a film school where I had to direct myself. So I would watch scenes that I acted in, and I'd be like, God, that was fucking awful. How can I direct myself to be better? And the direction that I thought of to give myself, the direction that I thought of to make the scene better, and how I built that up. I shot my movie Christmas Bloody Christmas halfway through production on this, and I actually noticed that the direction I had to learn to give myself influenced how I directed actors on a real scale. And I feel like the direction to the actors in Christmas Bloody Christmas was heightened and better because of how I learned how to direct myself in this film. So half of this movie was shot before my film Christmas Bloody Christmas, half of it was shot after. And it's almost like a film school I dived into a film school thesis almost, where it's like I learned so much about production design, acting, how to direct actors, and I feel like it's going to heighten all the movies I make from here on out. Yeah. So it's almost like an experimental film school that is going to get released, you know?
I have a question about Christmas Bloody Christmas. How the hell did you get Mark Green to make a cameo in that film?
Because he was the assistant director, so I was like, we got nobody else, motherfucker. Shane Mark Green is the
That was actually his third cameo in one of our movies.
He plays the same character in 3 different movies.
He connects the biggest verse.
The BCU.
PCU. Josh, this question's for you. How did the slow shoot schedule help you make edits on this film?
Try to use this. We were cutting stuff after every weekend that we would shoot. We would get film scans back from Photochem with the same lab that does like Tarantino movies and like Sinners and all this other stuff. So we would get the scans back, process it at my place, sync everything up. We'd watch it, we'd look at it, we'd adjust based on, okay, this really doesn't connect here. You shot something so wild and so off book. So then Joe would go, okay, cool, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna do another shot. He would like dream up some new camera move or some new gag to put in there. And so it was like slowly putting it together, keeping everything sound design, keeping everything with like temp score. Our mixer Sean Duffy was kind of working along with us for the last year and a half, keeping things up to date, doing like Foley recordings and stuff. And then our composer Steve Moore did 2 huge passes at it, and each one was like half of the movie. So it was definitely slower than we normally do. Like Christmas, we started shooting in February, and it premiered in September. So this is much longer than our usual productions go, but it also allowed Joe time to sit with it, time to think about it, time to like make sure when he wanted to shoot something new, he could have the connective tissue necessary. And basically it was just like a live project. I think I went through something like 36 versions of Avid through the editing process of this movie.
This movie takes place in one night. I'm currently 37 years old, and in the movie I'm 33, 34, 35, and 36 on screen.
There's the scene where Joe goes in the back.
Hopefully you can't tell. I mean, that's
the scene where Joe goes, "Fuck you, get out of here! I'll show you and everybody else like you." And he like runs down the hallway, and then Matt, our buddy Stiggs, follows him. He's like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna shoot him with blanks?" There's a whip pan right there, and both guys aged 4 years in the whip pan. It looks like it's the same shot, but on the other side, and they look exactly the same, which is how committed Joe and Matt were. Matt was like, he used to be like very clean cut, he had like a very short, looked like an LA waiter, and Joe made him grow his hair out like Joe and then grow a big giant gray beard. He had to keep it for 4.5 years. The it's done, it's coming out in August, and he still hasn't shaved because he's like worried we're gonna like shoot another shot.
This is the question you guys are probably going to get at every single stop, but like Eli Roth is really pushing this film to go against like all the modern gore films and just basically putting like, backing you guys and putting a lot of faith in you guys. How does that feel to have the guy who brought us Hostel and Cabin Fever and just like all these other gore films, kind of supporting you guys, but also does that like add like, whoa, don't give us that pressure. Like I got to go to these places and see these people. Like, how do you guys feel about that?
Well, the thing is we finished the movie in October, and I had thankfully we self-financed this and we were in control of it all, but like we were just getting all these really shitty offers and people were like, we'll dump it straight to VOD, this and that, and it's like, no, this movie needs to be seen in a theater. As you guys saw, seeing this in a fucking crowd, like there's a whole generation of people that haven't experienced seeing a horror movie like this, where you see it in a crowd and you have to the biggest thing is you want to tell all your friends about it. And I just wasn't getting that vibe from anybody who wanted to buy the movie, and we were talking about self-releasing, we were trying to figure it out. And just by nature, Eli Roth got a hold of it. He just started the studio, and he was like, this is something that, when I was a kid, Reanimator or Bad Taste or Evil Dead, he's like, I want to put this in 2,000 theaters. And I'm like, okay, sure. And, to his credit, he actually followed through on that. And, he is the biggest cheerleader for this movie. And this movie would be coming out in 2,000 theaters. And it's like, he's very much just not being a filmmaker and being like somebody who's like, I'm going to put all my weight on this. So there's not even a lot of pressure. It's kind of just like, I couldn't have, he literally told us, he's like, I couldn't have found a better movie to launch my studio. This is how I want my studio to be seen. Like, I want this to set the precedent for how my movies are. And it's like, you just need the right person to see the movie, you need the right person who authentically sees what it is. And, by the nature of him being like, this is something that needs to be seen in the theater. I'm going to send you guys on a 20-city road show because we want to show this in the theater. We want people to watch this, want people to go and see it, tell their friends about it. We did a leg of the road show earlier where I went to Austin, and then I did Dallas 3 days later. We were at the Austin show, and then 3 days later at Dallas, we had half a dozen people come up, and they're like, we brought carloads of friends because they didn't believe how fucking crazy this movie was. And it's like, that's exactly what we fucking want. So having you people here, we open August 15th, and all of you guys are here, and like, we need you to tell your friends about this. We need you to post on Letterboxd. We need you to post on social media. If you love the movie, post about it. If you didn't like the movie, shut the fuck up. The fact that you guys are all sitting here for the Q&A makes me think you enjoyed it at some level. So the thing is Eli mostly wants to be able to fucking elevate movies like this and movies that you don't normally see in theaters. He wants to just throw in theaters and just like imagine, a group of fucking 18-year-olds being like, oh, Jimmy and Stiggs, a new horror movie, and they come in and see this. Like, let's blow their fucking minds, and that's kind of the goal with what we're doing with this movie and how Roth wanted to elevate us. And so I need every single person to see it and to tell all of your friends to come watch this movie when we open on August 15th to, kind of set the precedent for what independent horror can do in this landscape. You guys are behind the fucking wheel now. So let's go forward and elevate this shit.
Definitely. A lot of mainstream horror has been playing it safe for years. How does it feel for you guys to kind of like come in and just stick to what you believe in?
The thing that I realized, I think maybe 5-6 years ago, it's like, just make the movies you want to make. Like, don't try and do anything that anybody else wants to do, because there's so many people out there who are going to connect with what you want to do. Just put your brain on film, and however ridiculous it is, the best thing is it's like with my movies, there's so many people who just absolutely fucking hate them to the point where like they personally attack me. But then on the other end of the spectrum, there's people who are like, this movie changed my life. And I feel like that's so much more satisfying than having everybody be like, yeah, that was cool. It's like, no, I want you to fucking feel something so strong about this movie that it makes you actually angry. But then simultaneously you feel something so strong about this movie that you show everybody you know, or it affected you on it. Like, I feel like that's evident of making good art, where you have such a fucking strong opinion on both sides of the wheel.
So this film took 4 years, right? Over those 4 years, any significant changes that happened with the film, or do you think that like the vision you had 4 years ago when you started this kind of ended up being the final outcome?
Well, I was just evolving this movie in my mind and writing it, and nobody else could really see. So I actually think Josh, as an outsider, having to have me feed him this footage and these new scenes, I was like, he might be able to answer this better than I can, because
The opening scene where Stiggs shows up, we shot that 4 or 5 times, and it was always a different iteration. Originally, the movie opened up with Joe's drug dealer selling him a shot-off shotgun and a bunch of pills. There are things like that change and change. You know, you put them together, you look at them, you're like, this is boring, or that's not really working. We'll try to cut it down. You try to cut it down. You're like, now it's missing too much. So Joe would dream up a new scene, and he would shoot that scene, and then we would look at that. Sometimes they would stay, but other times they would change. And the opening scene with Jimmy and Stiggs is the one that probably changed the most. I think we shot that 4 or 5 times.
not the opening scene, but when he comes into my apartment.
The one with the 2 of them when he comes into the apartment is the one that changed. And then the one of the last things we shot was the ending where we built the spaceship. So that was just like waiting in the wings for about 3.5 years, and we knew that we were going to have to build a spaceship replica of Joe's apartment. So we were sort of building everything around that, and then when we finally put on that ending, it's like, oh man, we have a movie finally. Okay, cool. And then we start looking at it, cutting it down, shooting some extra stuff. We created that montage with Joe getting all the weapons and taking all the drugs, and shot a bunch of our friends, like the director of Hobo with a Shotgun is in there, like talking about, the alien experiences. It's so much fun, and we have a live movie, which is so different. Usually you shoot a movie and then you edit it, and if you're lucky, you can go get 1, 2, 3 days of pickups. So to have a movie, shoot it, and be like, okay, cool. We have 140 days of pickups over the next 3.5 years. Joe just has to keep his hair long, which is no problem. And yeah, it was wild to have a live experience like that, almost to do like an improv set, but with a horror film that has thousands of gore gags.
I have some friends in the audience and some people who have helped me out, gave me a little money to finish the movie. And every few months it's like, what's going on with Jimmy and Stiggs? That fucking movie. Guess what, motherfuckers? Yeah, it is finished now. But that's the thing I had to deal with too, is so many friends like, is that movie ever going to get finished? Is it ever going to get done? And it's like, you can't, it seems like it should have been the easiest movie to make, but it was simultaneously the fucking hardest movie to finish, because this isn't like my first movie. I've made 5 movies before this, so it's like I can't really just make a movie in my apartment and shit it out. It's like, well, no, it needs to feel like an evolution of my other movies, and needs to build up and feel like, this feels like an organic 6th movie in this filmography. It doesn't matter that he shot in his apartment, it doesn't matter that it stars him, but it feels like an elevation and an evolution of everything that we've seen before this. So that was probably the hardest part of doing it over 4 years. For
context, usually when a director like Peter Jackson or Sam Raimi decides, I'm going to make a movie with all my friends, we're going to shoot it for about $25, and we're all going to shoot it in one location, it takes them 3 or 4 years, but it's their first movie. So for Joe to do a movie number 6 is like unprecedented and ridiculous.
Now, what are the aliens made out of?
Foam latex, there's some towels shoved in that one.
A little pinch of love.
How many did you guys have on set?
I currently have 6 at my apartment, but I think we made about 15 total, and they just got blown apart and fucking smashed. Fucking douchebag cocksucking motherfuckers.
Like some of them had like a rubber arm. So when Joe was fighting, which is funny because I always laugh at that first scene where he fights an alien, because it's like my best friend of like 25 years is just fighting a Muppet, but also controlling the Muppet. But he had like rubber arms, so we could get it to slap him or get it to headbutt him. Then there was other ones with like mouths that would move. We had a retractable hand that Joe built off of shit he bought off Amazon to like grab things or like go up onto the desk. Or it was really like, it was honestly like playtime. It's the most ridiculous way to spend adulthood.
Yeah, we would all do a shot, and I'd be like, all right, let's do a shot. And then I'd grab the alien by the neck, and I'm like, get all fun. I'm like, this fucking son of a bitch! It just feels so good to strangle it and smash it.
So we got the alien autopsy, classic style alien there, but then later on we see a different alien version. What was the influence for that one? Where'd that come from?
Well, the alien autopsy thing is actually a real thing, where when I was in middle school or elementary school maybe, I got in trouble because I kept saying this alien autopsy Fox special is actually real, and I would try to tell my teacher, well, no, aliens are real. I saw the special that Jonathan Frakes hosted about this alien autopsy, and my parents had to come in and talk to my teacher about that. So that's actually, I changed his name, but
yeah,
fucking
that's your
asshole,
story.
piece of shit motherfucker.
You made me watch it once.
Exactly, but it still holds up. So like the thing is I grew up watching like Sightings, Alien Autopsy, X-Files, Unsolved Mysteries, and they all have these gray aliens. And because I grew up in New England, like, you know, every setting for those things would be in a New England-esque scenario. So I was fucking scared shitless of these motherfuckers when I was like 5, thinking that I was going to get abducted while simultaneously hoping I got abducted because it seemed cool to be abducted. But like the thing is you don't see any movies where the antagonist is actually a blue-eyed, big-eyed fucking greaseball alien. So I wanted to do that, but it's like, what if they actually did attack me when I was 35 years old and I was fucked up in my apartment? I would take a fucking claw hammer to that little fucking goddamn douchebag. So let's show that in a fucking movie. Like, so it was just all of those things that I grew up watching that I wanted to predominantly put into. I mean, this is literally like, if you put, you know, brain waves into my skull, this is like what I think about every day.
I feel like this is a film for kids. Like, we want kids to believe, you know, in, you know, hold on to their beliefs, right?
Well, I've had a lot of friends like, is the movie, can I show my kids? And I'm like, yeah, it's just me running around with aliens. And then they're like, there's hardcore fucking 4 minutes into the movie. Oh yeah, I forget about that. That's not on the top of my mind.
Whoops.
There's nothing like hanging out watching porno and doing coke before aliens.
Normal Tuesday.
All right, we're going to open up the questions to the crowd. If anyone has one, just raise your hand.
Are there more F-bombs in this movie than Christmas Bloody Christmas? Which we're correct.
Waiting for an official count. We'll see.
When I did the fucks per minute on Christmas Bloody Christmas, it actually has the highest fucks per minute of any movie. Even though like I put it on the Wikipedia, I was so proud. But I haven't done that yet on this. It did like a subtitle pass, but I will definitely throw it all into a Word document and count the amount of fucks.
I feel like there's a lot
There's a lot
of them.
of fucks.
First, I just wanted to say I love that you decided not to go the route of like, we're gonna become best friends again and kill all the aliens and everything's okay. Instead, it just got worse and worse. Was that always your intention to end the movie that way, or that just sort of?
Like end it where we weren't friends anymore.
Not just that, but like literally, like you all fucking die. Like.
It was actually my intention to always end it where I got split in half in a POV, but it was at the last minute I decided to cut all my limbs off. I was originally supposed to just cut off my arm, but I was like, what if I cut off my legs too? And Josh is like, you don't gotta cut off your legs, and I'm like, I gotta cut off my legs.
It was decisions like that where suddenly you're like, you have people who've been working for 4 years, we're like, all right, yeah, we got a little bit of energy left, let's go. And Joe's like, I'm gonna cut off all 3 of my limbs. I'm just gonna leave one to operate.
Yeah, we thought we had like 1 day left to shoot it, and I'm like, ah, what if I cut off my legs?
Now it's like 17 days of shooting.
But worth
you know,
it, worth it.
everybody hung out and pushed as hard as they could.
I was wondering at the end when it does split into 2 different like camera angles, is that like it's splitting into 2 different realities?
It's me splitting my head in half, and
An eyeball
both
on each side.
we're able to remove the puppeteer rigs. But yeah, those things were basically puppeteered. We were all learning how to puppeteer that while we were shooting. It was like a guess and check thing that made it. The R&D made it into the movie essentially.
If you and your friends decided to build a slug and use coat hangers, and then you also got a couple 30 racks, a camera, it was exactly that. It was 100% that.
That looked awesome.
There you go.
Mine's on the same scene, pretty much. When Stick meets his end, is that his eyes? That the alien becomes out of his
because
head?
he's
Is that
taken
Stick's
over,
his
so when
eyes?
He's actually like trying to suck it to his friend. Those are the alien eyes taking over. So that was the idea. Was when the skull split, the eyes stay where they are.
It
and they
was,
come out.
right. I kind of missed it, and I wasn't sure about it. And you kept kind of focusing back to the eyes, and I wasn't sure if that was actually Sticks looking out at him or not.
Oh yeah.
That's a good catch. I didn't get that either. That's awesome.
I guess you guys are gonna watch it.
I know. August 15th.
Where can we watch your other films?
They're kind of all over. You can rent them all on Amazon or
Amazon,
iTunes or anything like that. But Shudder has a couple of them. Bliss is my personal favorite of my movies. Aside from this, you can find that on Peacock or Amazon Prime.
I'm going down a rabbit hole now.
Yeah, go down the rabbit hole. Go down that biggest rabbit hole.
Can I just say, one of the things I really appreciate about your films, it said like there's a style that you have but you've tackled so many different like subgenres and themes. I think it's really impressive. Like Mind's Eye is totally different than most of these. VFW is its own entity. Christmas, Bloody Christmas, Bliss, and then this is like you've really varied while keeping it very much a you film. I love that.
Hopefully werewolves are next.
Cool.
You know, just keep hitting every single subgenre of horror.
Here for it.
First off, I want to say I really appreciate the balls to the wall splatter, kind of like street trash or the suckling. My actual question is, do you guys think you can, or that you might try to do a physical release for this as well?
Yeah, there'll be a full 4K.
We have like a 2-hour documentary about the making with everybody that worked on it for all 4 years. Behind the scenes footage of Joe wearing a camera rig being pulled into the air by me and like another fat guy. Like it's gonna be absolutely jam packed.
That's awesome.
I actually have two quick questions. One, I know you shot on 16 millimeter. So is there any plans to have made prints and show this on film?
Yeah, we have 2 35mm prints we've already made. One's going to have a residency in LA at the Vista, Tarantino's theater.
Yeah.
And then the second one we're going to put around on a tour. I'm hoping that we're going to play. Coolidge has reached out. They have a 35 capability. I know Avon, I think, does in Providence. But the plan of the second print is to kind of, sporadically go across. But the print, we checked it like 2 weeks ago, and it looks fucking phenomenal. So if it does play around here, I implore you to go.
And my second part is, as a poster collector, did that great Cannibal Holocaust poster make it through the shoot unscathed?
Yeah, I actually had it framed in glass cover. And now there's actually blood that has seeped into the bottom and like soaked itself up. But I feel like that's kind of cool because it's an original Italian, large format poster that now has Jimmy and Stiggs blood on it that the screen used props. So it's invaluable, and it will stay that way.
Did you use your own props? Like, was that just your setup, or did you add things in to? I mean, I feel like this was you.
The apartment?
Yeah.
It was like 2/3 there, and then there were certain things like the Cannibal Holocaust poster I added because, I mean, I love that movie, but we know the guy who owns that movie. So I had to take down some of the posters, like I normally have a brain scan poster up, like there's something we couldn't get rights to, but I kind of swapped it out. So there are things that are like present in my apartment, but we accentuated some things and swapped some things out that we can get clearance on. But it's very much a heightened version of where I live, for sure.
Joe, do you have a favorite edit or something that just worked in a way that you weren't expecting?
Well, Josh brought up earlier what looks like the one take of us arguing. There's like a multi-year cut in there. I'm really happy with the way that one of my favorite scenes of the movie is when Stiggs splits open and the creature comes out, we have the body playing over it, and it's all intercut. And there's actually, we shot that over, like there's inserts from multiple years in that. I don't know, like that's the thing with this movie is if I wasn't happy with something, we were able to redo it. So I mean, I'm pretty happy with everything in here. Much to the chagrin of, a lot of people working this movie where I'm like, come on guys, we gotta get the shot. We already got that fucking shot 2 years ago. I'm like, trust me, we're gonna do a little bit better this time.
I'm a big fan of when the head actually splits open, because we tried a couple things. We have split screen earlier in the movie, and there's always like a very thin black line of 16mm black there, and it was like we tried it with the split screen there, and it was just strange, didn't really quite work. And then we tried this like basically like an eye defocused into itself as it splits. And when we finally landed that ending, because we didn't know how it was going to work, and we tried probably like 3 or 4 different things trying to figure out like, okay, we'll just use sound, but then picture didn't really match up. So when we finally got that to work and watched it for the first time with a group of friends, and they were like, oh, the fucking head splits, and I was like, oh, thank God. Like we finally figured that out. So that was a good one for sure.
Also the montage, I very much wanted to feel like you were watching an Unsolved Mystery segment on speed, as if it was, scored by 9 Inch Nails. So, and we were shooting, that was some of the last stuff we shot. Like some of those interviews are our close friends, and I'm just like there with the video camera shooting them. I'm like, just keep talking about this, but it worked out really well. I feel like it feels like exactly how I wanted it to. So that's actually probably the thing that I was most surprised with how it came out, because I just could not figure out that montage until the very end. We finally got all the pieces together to make it feel exactly how I wanted, like you're watching a 1992 Fox special jammed up on fucking shit.
Like we were cutting it together and like listening to sound and music and everything, and then Joe would grab a camera that a friend of ours like still had an old mini DV, like a Sony Handycam, and we just walked a few blocks over from my apartment, left the editing room just to go point to an empty lot and go, "This is where they fucking took me," and then like just walked back to the house, offloaded it, and put it in the movie. Like that's literally the kind of experience that it was making this whole thing for 4 years.
Now, Joe, you're a fan of all genres. You've, like Dave said, you've touched on like so many different subgenres in the horror. Can we see like an action film from you? Because I know you're a big fan of like Demolition Man and stuff like that. Are you gonna step out and try something else?
I'd love to. We'll see. You know, it's basically whatever somebody wants to finance is kind of. Whatever somebody wants to finance, that's exactly like, you know, I don't want to like go and try and make a studio movie just to make a studio movie, but like I'm hoping that I can build up and make my own Demolition Man at some point. You know.
You only gave one ambulance.
What was that?
You only gave you one ambulance.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw a hand up there.
I gotta say, I love VFW. When that movie came out, it just like spoke to me. Thank you guys for making that. But this, starting and ending with Jimmy's POV, was that always like the plan to have that in the beginning and the end, or was there ever a permutation where it was going to be a full Jimmy POV movie?
I always planned to begin and end with that, but actually what happened in those scenes kind of evolved. I'm a big fan of POV stuff. Enter the Void's one of my favorite movies, the Gaspar Noé movie, and the POV in that. And like, I didn't want to do something where it was like, oh, I have a GoPro on me. I wanted it to feel cinematic and like you're fucking in the shoes of the protagonist. And also the thing is I'm usually my own camera operator, so I love like getting in there with the camera and the actors and figuring shit out. So and the fact that I was starring in this and I couldn't be the camera operator, it was something where it's like, well, I can simultaneously be the star of the movie and the camera operator, and I can kind of elevate not elevate, but like spring off of what I saw Gaspar Noé do and stuff like that. And then as I got in there doing it, and it's like, okay, we shot this, what if we added this, you know, element at the beginning, what if we added this at the end, and kind of evolving that as we were shooting it. But it was really fun to just have the camera, and I had to have it's like a fucking, you know, film cameras are heavy, and the thing that you don't think about is it's like, oh, I want to be POV, I want to see my hands, I want to see myself smoking a blunt, drinking whiskey, which you don't normally see. But the thing is your hands need to be on either side very evenly. So if you put a camera like on your shoulder, the camera is going to be down this arm or down this arm. So what we had to do was figure out a rig where it was on my chest, and the 16mm camera, which is really heavy, was right here, and it was like pushing against me. So I had to operate, lift my hands up, and when I was smoking the blunt, we figured out a straw rig where the straw like went underneath the blunt. So I was like this. Trying to blow it out, and then I was drinking whiskey and I was just spilling it all over my shoulders and all over my body and trying to like do things. And I'm like, guys, is this look? And I'm yelling to everybody like, can you see my head? But it all worked out. So.
We had like a little monitor, and we would do playback afterwards. It was just off of a video tap, not the actual film, obviously. And we would just keep watching it back and go like, oh, this looks stupid. And then finally you get the take where it's like, oh, fucking looks awesome. It looks like you're smoking weed and drinking. Okay, cool, moving on. Keep going.
How about when you get lifted?
Yeah, I was wearing that rig, and we figured it out. And like in my apartment, we actually had to crawl up into the crawl space and see where the beams were, and we drilled railroad ties into that. So I'm wearing that, and then we have like that construction harness when guys are doing construction and hanging on the side of the building doing shit. So I was in that, and then Josh and a couple of my other friends, we rigged it so it went into my hallway, and I'm sitting on my hands and knees, and they just ran down the hallway like this. And I sucked all the way up to the ceiling, and then I look, and the fan's like this in front of my face, like, oh! It's like hitting my fingers. But we actually drilled into the fucking ceiling and did that. And then I showed my dad afterwards. He's like, what if your ceiling caved in? I'm like, I wasn't thinking about that, but that is very nerve-wracking now that you say that.
I mean, to be fair, I did warn you about it. You said I don't care. That was the other thing. Having the movie be non-SAG means we didn't have to run that by anybody except Joe. So we just put him in a builder harness and then a camera harness, and I was like, okay. Me and my other buddy, who's like also like 300 pounds, just like had two things of rebar tied along a rope, and we would just run as fast as we could down the hallway. and hope that it was good. And the thing that sucks is Joe would then get up at the top and start kicking and dangling, and the two of us are like with our feet against the walls, and it was insane.
Also, that chainsaw's real, so when I'm cutting my legs off, what I did was I tucked my leg like this, and we had a fake leg over me, so I had to cut through the fake leg, and I literally cut like this with the real chainsaw. And right beforehand, I'm like on the ground, and I have my buddy holding the camera rig to push me down, and we all do a shot. Suck the shot, then I'm like, all right, here we go. And I take the chainsaw, and it's like cutting so close to my leg. And that's the thing, is like I would never ask an actor to do that, but the fact that I got to do it, it was so exciting to have a chainsaw in your hand and then seeing this fake like cutting. I'm just like, this is the coolest thing ever. I could feel the wind going against my knees as I'm cutting, but it looked so sick.
So now, is it true that like your neighbors just were fine with all the noise because they're used to all your parties and shit you would throw? Like, what kind of parties you throw, man?
I think that, I don't know if saying they were fine with it is the right thing, but we didn't have any complaints.
Okay.
But I would have giant parties at my house all the time, and not really have any complaints, been there forever. And there were times where like we would be in my apartment, there's 10 of us, and we're just smashing on the ground, and it's like 1 a.m. and I'm like, you fucking cunt! And it's like nobody complains. I was like, I could have been like killing my girlfriend. But then like there would be times when my neighbor below me is like, hey man, that was a fucking killer party you threw last night. It was really good. But yeah, I can't imagine. It was almost like 7 years of pre-production to make this movie, where it's like, oh, Joe's just doing his thing. But I never really thought about it because it is my apartment. But the thing that shocks the most people is that I didn't have any noise complaints. I'm like, oh, I guess I am lucky. I didn't, I shouldn't move out of that apartment.
Any other questions?
Are you happy to not be on set anymore?
I mean, I live on set, so I just, it's like a PTSD thing where I wake up and it's like I'm still on set, and then I'm like, we're shooting behind the scenes and like interviews on set, and then I'm coming here talking about it, I'm going to set. So unlike other movies where you pack everything up, it's like I'm still waking up on this location. So yeah, I don't know, it fucks with my mind. I feel like I'm still on set basically.
Work from home.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a Jimmy and Stiggs playlist on Spotify. Did you guys create that?
I did. We were supposed to play, like it was made to play in theaters, and this was just so stressful to figure out the side and playing it.
Yeah.
But that was basically built to like play in theaters.
But they can listen to it on the ride home now, right? They can look it up.
I think it's public.
All right.
I think I have to make it public for theater owners to like.
Yeah.
If you want a realistic experience of making this movie, just listen to the same like 5 Van Halen songs for 4 years.
But it's very heavy metal, party influence. What's a couple of the bands on there?
Motorhead. I think Motorhead's a big one. Electric Lizard. Jesus Lizard. Yeah. Motorhead, Electric Lizard, Jesus Lizard. That'll get you in the mindset of what I'm doing.
Perfect.
All right, any last questions? All right, guys, thank you so much for showing us this film, taking it around, giving everyone this experience, being able to talk to you guys about it. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much.
And there's aliens out there. If you guys want to take pictures with aliens,
Take pictures with the aliens.
If you want, I'll take pictures of it, but I'll sign shit. Also, if you guys are on Letterboxd, fill that shit out. Give us 5 stars or give us don't fucking log it. But yeah, so we'll be hanging around for a little bit. I think we're going to Dead Beach tomorrow after this. If anybody wants to come do shots with us. If anybody wants to buy me a shot, I'm sure. But yeah, that's my Aunt Renee. She's the best. All right, thank you guys so much. Tell all your fucking friends. August 15th, we come out. I know you guys came here for free, but if you could buy a ticket to this movie, it's going to make the fucking difference in the world. And we'll get one movie like this. So thank you guys so much. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, see everybody at Deadbeats.